Good evening, everyone! Welcome back once again to this Rants on the Course of Yahushi YouTube signing up and imitated never do like famous superstar Tiff Vicious and folks. Let's go over Raw this week was in Ontario, California. Before we do, one thing do want to go over. I just kind of want to gloss over it real quick. News that broke earlier today, as of the day of this recording, The Rock's daughter is officially signed and she's at the Performance Center. You know, a lot of people were kind of like, and shitting all over the idea, but honest to God, I hope for nothing but the best for her in it all, and yeah. I hope for nothing but the best for her. I feel, in a way, I kind of feel sorry because she's got to work like 3 times harder than all the other girls there just to show that she's not there because of who her daddy is. Some people have been saying it's nepotism at its finest, you know. She's just there because of that. You know, fuck that. I don't buy into that shit. You know, you want to tell me you're going to go in the ring, you're going to be a performer? Okay, fine. Put your money where your mouth is. Train, bust your ass, go perform. Then that's when I will give my 2 cents on it. Until then, nothing but the best hope for her. That said, now let's switch gears, talk about last week with the SmackDown Rewind. Big highlights from last week. Miz and Morrison brought back the dirt sheet. They wound up doing just like what they do best and run roughshod when they go and do it. And made a small little video for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood parody. Really cool. Let's see. Other big highlights. Braun Strowman said he's going to be a fighting man's champion. Then Nakamura, Sami, Cesaro, and the Revival all wound up taking him down. Carmella is the #1 contender for the SmackDown Women's title. As well as probably the biggest news that came out of last week. Goldberg against The Fiend. It's going to be at the Saudi show. It's Super Showdown. Now, a lot of people have been speculating and shitting on it, saying, oh, they're going to do this. Oh, Goldberg's going to get the title again. He's going to kill The Fiend. Ah! All the while I'm just sitting back laughing my ass off on how idiotic they sound saying that shit. Just, really. Now, here's the thing. Do I like the idea of Goldberg versus Fiend? No. No, I don't one bit. But Daniel Bryan has made his stance clear as far as with doing the Saudi Arabia shows. So, since they cannot have Daniel Bryan go against The Fiend at the Saudi show, what they need is a filler. Hence, Goldberg. Do I like it? No. But, and here's the part where you need to think about it, kids, if it's executed properly. Emphasis on if, so let's not put all our hopes and dreams in it just yet. If it's executed properly, this can help build The Fiend. Because we all obviously know, if you're smart enough to know and you know on how to read between the lines, you know Bray is going to win. But it's a matter of how. Talk about the brutality, in a sense. The amount of physicality. The way The Fiend acts and reacts to Goldberg's moves. You know? Does he get a spear and then just boom, pop back up? Does he kick out at 1 on a jackhammer? Does he do the mandible claw to choke out Goldberg? You know? Like I said, if the show, not the show, if the match is executed properly, this could help put the Fiend on a different level, leading into the inevitable match between Fiend and Bryan. Yeah, Fiend versus Bray. You're only getting that if you're playing 2K20. Fiend versus Bryan at Mania. So, yeah. Other than that, not much else big highlights going on. That said, let's get into the show. Raw, it starts off with Seth and his disciples, as they're now being referred to, out in the ring. Seth going over on how at first he didn't very much so care for the brand being branded as the Monday Night Messiah, but now fully embraces it. Seth, as a Messiah myself, being the YouTube Messiah, you shouldn't take the name and just be like, ugh. No, take it with stride, take it with pride, you know? I myself am the YouTube Messiah because I am here to save the masses from those who constantly keep thinking the same shit over and over and over, bringing in a fresh breath of air for those who need it. Seth, you should embrace it in that type of a way. But while Seth is out there doing his bit with it, out comes Kevin Owens. Then he brings out the Raiders. Owens and Seth trade some words. They talk about the match last week on how Ivar got hurt. And thankfully he's perfectly fine now. You know, so apparently it was just a staged accident, staged injury. So all good with that. But either way, next thing you know, he goes over to Ivar, pats him on his shoulder, goes over to Eric, pats him on his shoulder. Then they go on down. Start walking down. Next thing you know, they start fighting. And then Buddy Murphy, who's left in the ring, Samoa Joe sneaks up out of nowhere. Boom. Pops in Coquina clutch, chokes him out. And then they get a big brouhaha and then they separate. And now we come to the first match of the night. Becky Lynch against my future third ex-wife, Asuka. And a nice little pace and flow on it. Becky, she was pretty much leading the pace for the match. Now, honest to God, out of all the matches that they've had, this has probably got to be my least favorite one, just because of, while I was just complimenting the pace and the flow, compared it to the other ones that they've had, man, I don't know. I've seen, I don't want to make it sound like it was bad, because it wasn't really bad, but just it didn't feel on par to what they could do, if that's a better way to put it. But either way, match wound up coming to an end really quick after a quick sequence, them two trading moves and pins with each other. Asuka went for a roundhouse kick. Next thing you know, Becky grabbed her, hit her with like this Uranagi looking rock bottom, and then did the 1, 2, 3, got it real quick. Next thing you know, as she's getting her hand raised, celebrating, Shayna Baszler, boom, comes out of nowhere, pops her in the back, starts throwing punches at her, and then stands on top of her, rips out her mouth guard, and then goes and rips out a giant chunk of her neck. Well, I can't even say if she really did or not, but she went down, bit into it, and then her face was just all bright red blood. Now, if you're smart enough to know, yeah, you know that's stage blood. Because, well, pro tip from somebody who made stage blood, and I'm talking like for real, like real looking stage blood, not that bright crayon red stuff you see. What you do, you get Caro syrup, you get some red food coloring, mix it in, gotta have it be that dark red. You gotta have it be the dark red color, because as blood's pushed further into the body, it loses the red color. So you want to have it look real. You want to have it be. You want to give a sense of realism in it. Have it be more of a darker red. Just stage effects info for you. Either way, now moving forward. After that, Becky winds up literally getting. Becky gets taken to the back. Medics are trying to talk her into getting into the ambulance to go off. She's like, "Alright, I'll go. And then kicks the door, walks over, pulls the dude that's driving out, and then basically does something like out of Grand Theft Auto and hijacks the ambulance. I can only assume that she wound up doing a few different ambulance missions to earn some extra money, you know, much like anyone would in GTA. And then came back later on in the show, cut a promo saying on how, "Shayna, you better pray I find you before you find me." So, now we go to the next match. MoJo fucking Rawley, and honest to God, I don't even know who the fuck this dude is that's been riding along with MoJo for the past couple weeks. It's MoJo's whatever cohort, friend, whatever the fuck. And they're going against the Street Profits. And yeah, the highlight of the match was Ford and Dawkins pretty much saying MoJo Rawley's most famous for riding Gronk's coattails, which act like that ain't true. So, yeah. Match came to an end abruptly quick. It was pretty much a squash. They wound up doing a frog splash on MoJo's friend. After that, MoJo picked him up, and then friend did a quick inside cradle, 1, 2, 3, and now he is the new 24/7 champion. So hopefully this leads to R-Truth getting his title back, getting his baby back soon. Next up, we got Angel Garza against Cedric Alexander. And before the match even started, Humberto Carrillo wound up coming down, throwing a few slugs over at Garza because of last week, which then lead. So after they get separated, you see Zelina and Zelina Vega. Good God Almighty! Focus, man, focus. Okay, Zelina just like bye. Taunting like that. So then we get to the match. Cedric, he was leading it for the most part right up until they got to the outside. Once they went to the outside, Alexander went to go and do a head scissors. Garza countered, boom, planted his face down to the ground. And then he pretty much carried it from then on out. Match came to an end when Garza got the win doing the wing clipper. 1, 2, 3. That was it. So now we got next match. Sarah Logan against Rhea Ripley from NXT. And this came to be because Rhea was getting interviewed backstage on how she feels about the fact that Charlotte has yet to officially announce if she's going to accept Rhea's challenge or not. And then Sarah got mad saying, "Who the hell do you think you are?" And Rhea was like, "I'm Rhea Ripley. Who the hell are you?" And then, yeah. This was another fucking... this was a squash. And before I get into it, I'm just going to say now, majority of the show, pretty much the show was filler. The matches were pretty much filler, and the main stories were all the promos and the hypes and the build-up for leading into WrestleMania and Super Showdown coming up. And that's understandable, but for fuck's sake, man, I get fucking mad when, you get squash match, when you have multiple squash matches in one night. Like this one here. So, yeah. Next up, we got Bobby Lashley against Ricochet. Lashley, he was starting out pretty good and strong, doing power and striking. Ricochet wound up picking up some momentum. catching some momentum, was leading at the end, got the win doing the 630. Now obviously Ricochet's going to carry momentum going in the Super Showdown going against Brock Lesnar. Oh, the big question though is, more than anything, is Brock Lesnar going to destroy Ricochet really quick? Or is he going to take his time and then pick him apart? Yeah. So next up again, fucking squash match. Akira Tozawa against Aleister Black. Yeah. Black got the win. Afterwards, Black cut a promo basically taking the line from Rorschach from the comic book Watchmen, saying, "I'm not locked in here with you. You're all locked in here with me." And while Black articulated that in a very beautiful and elegant manner, still Rorschach did it way better in the movie. So now we come to the main event of the night. Kevin Owens, Raiders, Samoa Joe against Seth, AOP, and Buddy Murphy. And quick sidebar here, a lot of people were going nuts and like shitting themselves because Buddy Murphy's name got changed to just Murphy a couple days ago. And again, I can't help but laugh because people freak out and laugh and freak out. Damn it! Get my words right. People freak out over some of the stupidest shit when it comes to wrestling like this. Like, if, heaven forbid, I was in WWE and heaven forbid I went from being Tim Vicious to just Vicious. Like, would people be like, "Oh my god, what happened to Tim?" Guys, fucking chill. Most of the people on Twitter already refer to him as Murphy. You know? I mean, for fuck's sake, I'm from South Philly where we all addressed each other by our last names. You know? I never called my cousin by his first name up until I was like 17. I always called him Murphy because that was his last name. Some people are just some people just look for shit to complain about. So, now that I'm done on that sidebar, back to the main show. As far as this tag match goes, fairly decent, you know. It's fairly decent, you know. Buddy Murphy, he was the team punching bag at the start, which, you know, I give mad credit to, because a lot of people were saying it'd be a shitty idea having Murphy in the team. You go back, you watch some of the other episodes, not to stroke my own ego or to say I called it, but I called it, saying they were going to have him on there because you got to have somebody on your team, you got to have somebody in your stable that's going to be able to take the bumps and take the ass whoopings. Look at the NWO, they had 6. You look at this, they got Murphy. You know? Easy peasy way to figure that out. You do the math. That said though, Murphy, he was the punching bag at first. He took a good ass whooping. And then after a little bit, you know, Eric wound up doing it. Eric wound up taking some of the ass whooping. Ivar eventually came in. Wasn't like a hot tag per se, but he came in, started working with Murphy for a bit, had a nice little sequence. Got the crowd cheering, you know. Then we got some big brouhaha going on after that. You know, but Owens wound up actually becoming more so of the team punching bag because, and I say that in a good way because one of the things that they were doing on this episode of Raw tonight, I don't know if any of y'all out there saw it too, but you know on how like they'll put the screen up in the corner and then have the commercial play? They were doing that on Raw. They don't normally do that on Raw. You'll get that on like NXT or maybe SmackDown. It feels like they're trying it out for Monday night for the first time. If it is, cool. But either way on that, yeah. Owens If you watch that though, Owens, he was pretty much taking the ass whooping, being a punching bag. Samoa Joe got the hot tag, and that's where shit picked up. Shit came undone. Big schmaz. Everyone came in fighting each other. Big high spot in the match was Joe wound up knocking Seth out of the ring. Was about to go for a suicide dive. AOP got on the apron. Joe's like, alright, boys, you want to go? We'll go. Next thing you know, the Raiders came up right to his side. They knocked them down, and then they all looked at each other like, fuck it. So all three of them did a suicide dive. And then Owens got to the top rope, tossed himself over onto everyone. Eventually, Joe wound up getting back into the ring, had the coach, worked with Murphy for a few, and then popped in the Coquita clutch. All the while he had the Coquita clutch locked in, ref was distracted by the outside, didn't see Buddy Murphy tapping. Seth snuck in, popped a curb stomp onto Joe while he was doing that, and then Murphy wound up going over, rolled over onto him for the cover and got 1, 2, 3 win. So that is that. They are the winners. So yeah. So that is it for this week's show, folks. So please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, go back, watch some of the other episodes. Leave any interesting thoughts, complaints, questions, grunts, and groans down below. I have no problem answering any and all forms of criticism, good, bad, and anything in between. Make sure you look for me on my Twitter at TimVicious. Also on that Facebook gimmick, Tim Ash. If you're gonna look for me on my Facebook gimmick, let me know you got me on there from here. Oh, I'm on Twitter at TimVicious. So I don't think you got your creep drum going. I invest in my failure, so one day big thank you to the show LFC Lingerie Fighting Championship. It's a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of MMA, and a whole lot of attractive women and a little bit of nothing. Also, big thank you to executive producer Ali Rewan Ben, who did help provide the music for this week's show. Make sure you check his music ads out there on iTunes, Spotify, and such. Details are down below. You want one of these sweet Ali Rewind shirts? Hit me up and I'll talk to the man for you. Make sure you check out his Facebook gimmick also, He Enriquez. And folks, do not forget to follow these cool ass cats right here on the Twitter. Aso Mulligan, Kenny Kill, DSB_IV, Diabolica RA, Sergeant Curry Pants, and Dazzy MWP. Now folks, like I always tell y'all, you love me great, you hate me. Fuck you.
Do you? I'm not a gangster, but I bang a lot.